Lesson 2-4, Multiply with Decimals. By the end of today's lesson, you'll be able to multiply decimals by whole numbers, as well as multiply decimals by decimals. To multiply a decimal by a whole number or another decimal, you multiply as you would with whole numbers. Then count the number of decimal places in both factors, and then mark off the same number of decimal places in the product. Let's take a look at the story problem. Mariko exchanged American dollars for British pounds. If she had $48 and the exchange rate was 0.68 pounds for each dollar, how many pounds did she receive? So to find the number of pounds, which is in, we need to multiply 48 times 0.68. This in right here is the unknown number that we're looking for, so that's our variable. We're going to first estimate by rounding. So we have 48, which we're going to estimate to be 50 times 0.68. So we're going to round that 6 up to a 7, so 0.7. When we multiply, we get 35. So our answer is going to be close to 35. So let's take a look at the problem. We have 0.68 times 48. Our first step is to multiply just like we would as if the decimal weren't there. So if I go ahead and multiply all that out, this is what I get. 3,264. Our second step is to count the number of decimal places in both factors. So we only have a decimal here in this one number. I have 2 spaces behind the decimal. So now I must have 2 spaces down here as well. So I start 1, 2. So my decimal is going to go right here. And then our answer now becomes 32.64. Our estimate was 35, so 32.64 is pretty close to our estimate. Let's take a look at another example. 0.329 times 0.02. So all I need to do is multiply by this 2, and remember, we just multiply like we would as though the decimals weren't there. So when I multiply by the 2, this is what we get. 658. Now I go up to the top number and I need to count the decimal places. I have 1, 2, 3 decimal places here behind this number. And then I count them behind the bottom number, and I have 1, 2 decimal places behind this decimal. So I need to have 5 decimal places behind the decimal. I only have 658, so I need to add zeros onto the beginning of this as placeholders. I'm going to put about 3 out there. Now, as I count over, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. My decimal point should go right there. So that's what the answer would look like. Let's take a look at an example with money now. $72.25 times 0.75. So I'm going to multiply that out, and it looks like this. 541,875. Now I need to remember to bring my dollar sign down now so that I don't forget. So I put that right here. Now I need to go up and count the spaces behind the decimals. Up in this top number, I have 1, 2. So there's 2 numbers here. And this second number, I have 1, 2. So there's 2 numbers here. So I need to have a total of 4 decimal places behind the decimal. So I'm going to go down to my answer here, and I start right here, and I count over 1, 2, 3, 4. Right here is where my decimal will need to go. So my answer is $54 and then 1.875 cents. Now, if we're using money, it never looks like that. So we're going to round to the nearest cent, which would be $54.19, because we would want it here in the hundredths place where we usually see our money ending. If you have any questions about the lesson, make sure that you go back and rewatch, and you can pause at any time to take the notes that you need, and have fun with math today.